Perfect. Okay, so today we'll get started laying on our backs. And as mentioned, if you have a strap or a cord or a tie, anything, we'll be using that today. But you can just set it aside for now. We won't be using it this minute. And slowly lowering yourself down onto your back, maybe with your knees bent, or if you'd like, with your legs extended in full corpse pose. While we're here, extending your neck up, so almost like you're trying to point your ears against the opposite wall and lengthening your neck down against the mat. Starting to notice where your sit bones, your legs meet the mat, your back. Noticing how that feels. And starting to breathe some deep breaths into your belly. Feeling it go all the way down. Your belly inflates as you inhale and then slowly deflates as you exhale. Just starting to notice the rise and fall of your belly and chest. Sinking deeper into the mat and grounding into the moment. Noticing if your mind wanders to things that happened today or are going to happen in the future. And just call your attention back to the moment, back to the sensation of how it feels for your back and your legs and your shoulders to be against the ground, against the mat. And then begin to notice where your shoulders are. They hiked up by your ears. And if so, gently pulling them down and behind. And with your eyes closed, now start to rock our head side to side, massaging your skull against the mat. Just looking side to side with your eyes closed, rocking the head side to side. Waking at the back of your neck. And finding stillness in your neck. Now looking up towards the sky, tucking your knees into your chest. So now our low back is flush with the mat. Grabbing each knee with one hand, starting to do circles with both of those knees in opposite directions. Noticing how that feels, how your inner thighs, maybe they're loose, maybe they're tight, just taking stock of it. And now circling in opposite directions. So if you were doing one counterclockwise, now do it the other direction. Today we'll be focusing on opening our hips, using the breath to find some relief in our hamstrings, our glutes, our quads, everything that makes up our hip flexors. And now extending your left leg out in front of you, keeping your right knee tucked into your chest. Clasp your hands around that right knee and start to pull in and over towards the right. So finding an opening on the inside of your right leg, right groin. And then pulling your knee over to the opposite direction. So pulling your knee over towards your left armpit and that opposite motion. And from here, we'll grab our strap or the tie, if we have a tie, or whatever prop we are using to act as a tie. It can be a sweater, a scarf, whichever you choose. And then clasping it around the sole of your foot, extending your right leg up towards the sky, flexing that right foot. We'll start to do circles with our foot, using the strap to guide your leg, focusing here on opening your calves, your hamstring, the back of your leg. Feel free to bend your knee if that feels good too. Just honing in on how it feels on the back of your leg. And then maybe starting to do bigger circles. Bigger circles, finding even more openness in your hips. And then changing directions with those circles, finding the opposite relation, noticing if it feels any different to go in the opposite direction. Now finding stillness with your leg as straight as you can. Again, if you find any tension in your knee, feel free to bend it slightly, but still flexing that right foot, using both your hands now to clasp your strap. And we're slowly going to let our right leg fall over towards the right. So opening through our right hamstring, the inner right of our thigh, keeping both sit bones down on the mat as much as you can. So if you're letting your low back come off the mat, just lift your leg up slightly more. We're all about focusing on the inner right thigh, not about just getting our leg down as much as possible. It's mostly about finding that stretch and using your hands here to support this stretch. So using your strength of your arms that are pulling the strap to keep your leg in its position. And slowly over time, you may find that it's going to sink a bit deeper, just a bit deeper down to the mat. And again, keeping that right foot flexed and lengthening the back of your neck against the mat if you found that it has crunched up at all. Holding here for 3, 2, 1, using your arm strength to pull your leg all the way back over to center, and then just letting it fall over towards the left. So it may not go very far. We're not about hurting ourselves here, but this helps to get us a stretch on the side of our leg here. And you may want to change the way that your foot is flexed. You may find that if you point your toes in a certain direction, for me specifically over towards the left and up, I find that it gives even more stretch along this area. So holding here for 3, 2, 1. Again, using the strap to pull it back up and then slowly lowering the right foot down, extending it out in front of you and tucking your left knee into your chest. And again, clasping your hands this time around your left knee, pulling in towards your left armpit, opening through that inner left thigh. Keeping your sit bones grounded into the mat, really rooting down here, finding length in the back of your spine, noticing if you've cranked in your shoulders, and breathing into your hips. Now pulling your knee to the opposite direction over towards the right armpit. Noticing how that feels. It may be different than the opposite side. Just taking stock of the sensation in your hip. And then bringing your knee back to center as we did on the opposite side, grabbing the strap now and clasping it behind your left sole of the foot and extending the left leg up into the air, flexing the left foot and starting to do circles, drawing nice little circles with that foot, pointing and flexing that left leg. Using your hands here really to support the movement of that up that leg. And now doing bigger circles, getting a bigger range of motion into those hip flexors. As if you are stirring a pot, but with your foot in the air. And then switching directions. You're going counterclockwise, now go clockwise, keeping again both of those hips on the mat. Your low back should stay flush with the mat. And then finding stillness. You may want to bend your knee a bit here. We're going to slowly let our left leg fall over towards the left, using your hands, the strength of your arms on your, holding your strap to support that leg. And again, keeping your hips on the mat as much as possible. It's about getting that stretch. It's not about getting our leg as close to the ground as possible. Flexing that left foot. And breathing into your hips here. As you breathe, notice if your leg is able to slowly just relax a bit more and sink down a bit more towards here. Holding here for 3, 2, 1, and then using the strength of your arm to pull your leg back up and let it fall just a bit over towards the right. So we're not getting that big stretch that we did on the opposite side, but just a slight stretch and feeling it on the side of our leg, maybe pointing your left toes up and over towards the right. Finding that counter stretch. As always, breathing through the nose, into the belly, keeping both those hips grounded. And if you've tucked your neck and you're looking behind you, just find some length there and looking down in front of you. Holding here for 3, 2, 1, and using your arm strength to pull it back up, and then untucking your strap, placing it back on the ground, and pulling both your knees into your chest. From here, we'll rock side to side or up and down your spine, whichever feels better for you. And using this rocking motion, we're going to rock all the way up to a seated position. From our seated position, taking both of our legs into cross-legged, taking whatever leg in first that feels good for you. Inhaling to find length here. So when we focus on opening our hips, it's not just our hamstrings, our glutes, and our quads, it's also our psoas, so our lower back body is really important for opening our hips, and our side body here as well. So we're going to be opening a bit of our psoas, a bit of our side body. And to do that, we'll first start by inhaling to lengthen the spine, reaching the arms up towards the sky. And as you exhale, dropping the left hand down, reaching the right arm up and over towards the left, really reaching with this right hand, not being a passive, focusing on really getting that stretch, that length along the side. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to bend a bit deeper. On your next inhale, rising all the way up, both arms reach to the sky, and exhale, dropping the right hand down and reaching over towards the right with that left hand. Focusing on making it so that your shoulder and your side body is facing the side of the room. Noticing if you feel this in your hip flexors, your side body, and using your breath to sink a bit deeper. On your next inhale, rising all the way up. As you exhale again, up to the opposite side, left hand down, right arm reaches over towards the left. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, right arm down, left arm reaches over towards the right. Inhale back to center. This time, both hands on your knees, switch legs. So whichever leg was in closer to you, we're going to switch the direction. When we do this, we change how the muscles are stretching on each side. Inhaling again to lengthen, reach the arms up towards the side. Exhale, left arm down, right arm reaches over towards the left. Reaching here, keeping your sit bones grounded to the mat. Inhaling to reach more and exhale to sink a bit deeper. On your next inhale, rising all the way up. And exhale, right arm reaches down, left arm reaches up and over towards the right. Maybe looking up to that right hand, focusing on opening that hip, using your inhales to lengthen more and your exhales to stretch a bit deeper. Inhaling back up to center. Exhale, left hand down, right arm reaches over towards the left. Inhaling to come back up. Last time, exhaling, dropping the right hand, bending over towards the right. Inhaling back to center. This time, placing the hands in front of you. And again, folding forward, opening your low back. This may be a little bit intense if you haven't opened up your low back yet today. So just taking it easy. You may want to have a prop like a pillow in front of you. And breathing deeply into the belly here. Noticing how that feels. Sending the breath deep into the hips. You may be finding yourself sinking a bit deeper as you continue to stretch. And then rising back up, and again, we'll switch legs. So whichever leg was in first, switch it to the opposite one, and coming forward again onto all fours, noticing how this gets your hips and your low back a slightly different feeling as you do this. Holding for 3, 2, 1, pushing yourself back up into that seated position. We're going to come forward into all fours. And from all fours, starting to do circles with the hips. First, one way, either circles or figure eights. And then the opposite direction. Maybe even doing a combination of cat-cows while we're here. Finding that range of motion in your hips. Notice how it feels. And then starting to walk your hands forward a bit, tucking the back toes under, and we'll lift our hips up into our first downward facing dog. Breathing here, settling out your dog, walking it out, feeling the back of your hamstrings and your calves stretch as you do this. And then on your next inhale, looking at bending your knees and slowly crisscrossing to walk all the way up to the top of your mat, meeting in a forward fold. And we're going to hang out in our forward fold here because we're going to open the back of our calves and hamstrings, letting your head ragdoll, maybe crossing the arms, letting the weight of your torso, just coming down to the earth. Open the back of your legs, opening your calves, your hamstrings, noticing how that feels. Maybe rock from side to side. Still, as always, breathing into your hips. Now finding stillness, placing the hands on the mat. We'll inhale to a halfway lift, flat back, and exhale, rain it down. Inhaling, root to rise, reach up all the way to the sky. Reach, and exhale, hands down to heart center. Taking a grounding breath here. In through the nose and out through the mouth. We'll inhale again to reach up to the heavens and exhale, float it all the way down. All the way down. From here, using your index and middle finger, tucking it in between your big toe, clasping your big toe, inhaling to lengthen, straightening the arms. As you exhale, fold a bit, bending the elbows, pulling them out to either side, finding an opening in your low back and your calves and hamstrings. You may want to bend your knees here if that feels good. Breathing into your hips. On your next inhale, again, lengthening and straightening those elbows. And exhale to bend those elbows, again, bringing them out towards the side, finding that opening. Inhaling through the nose, and exhale through the nose and mouth. On your next inhale, rising, unclasping your toes, inhale into a halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold it down. Inhaling, circling the arms all the way up to the ceiling, looking up, and exhale, hands down to your sides, looking out in front of you. From here, bending into your knees slightly and then stepping just your right foot back into a lunge, finding an opening in this right quad. From here, reaching the arms up towards the sky, out to the sides. You form like a Y with your arms, pulling the shoulder blades down and away. And we're going to hold here for 5 seconds. So arms are kind of at an angle out towards the side. So we're opening through the chest as well. And focus on leaning into that stretch in your right quad. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. We're going to pivot on the back foot, arms cartwheel out towards the side, bringing your left elbow to left knee, reaching the right arm up and over towards the front of the room, side angle pose. Breathing here for 3, 2, 1. As we exhale, slowly lowering the right hand down to the right side of the front foot, left hand goes to the other side and dropping the back knee into our low lunge. Rising up here, engaging through the core, leaning forward, opening this right hip even more. Inhaling here as you exhale, straightening the left leg, folding forward. You may want to flex this left foot, keeping a bit of a bend in this left knee. Breathing here. On your next exhale, bending into that front knee, both hands on either side of that front foot, coming into a lunge here. On the next inhale, straightening that front knee again, coming back, half split. Inhaling to come forward again, into the lunge, and inhaling to come back. This time when you come forward, both hands come to the right side of that foot. And you may want to stay here in your lizard. Or if you like, you can bend the back knee, reach behind you with your left hand and grasp those right toes and find an extra stretch in your right quad. Finding that opening in the hips. Here you may even find an opening in the shoulders if you do this particular variation. Or if you'd like, if this doesn't resonate with you, you can come down all the way onto your forearms in a lizard variation as well. From here, wherever you are, coming back to our upright lizard variation, tucking the back toes under, lifting the right knee off the mat, reaching the left hand up towards the sky, finding a bit of a twist here. On your exhale, stretching even deeper. And on your inhale, rising all the way up, arms cartwheel out to either side. In a twisted variation here. Pivoting back towards the front, both arms come to your hips, opening through the chest, pulling your shoulder blades together. And as you exhale, dropping your hands down, this time to the right side of both your left foot. You may need to pivot your left foot out to the side. And we're going to step our right foot to the outside of our hands. We come into our Malasana. So if you can sink your hips all the way down so that your feet are fully on the mat, I encourage you to do so. If not, no worries, you can come stay up on our toes. From here, taking your hands into prayer. I'll pivot so you can see. Taking hands into prayer, using your elbows to push against your inner thigh. Finding length as much as possible. Breathing into your hips. Noticing how this feels. It's maybe kind of intense, but we did do all that opening earlier to prepare us for this moment. Now coming back, placing your hands on the mat. If you'd like, you can step your legs back into plank one at a time, or using the momentum of placing your hands on your elbows, you can hop back into a plank. From here, sweeping forward into an upward facing dog. And exhale, send your hips back. Downward facing dog. Breathing deeply here. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. On your next inhale, looking at bending your knees and stepping or hopping your way to the top of your mat. From here, inhaling to halfway, lift that back. And exhale, fold it down. Inhaling, root to rise, circling the arms up to the side. Exhale, down to heart center. This time, bending the knees slightly and stepping just the left foot back into your lunge. Hands coming to hips for a moment, and then reaching the arms up towards the sky at about an angle here. It's almost like you're making a Y with your hands, pulling the shoulder blades down and away, keeping that neck long as you look forward, focusing on opening through your shoulders and that left quad. Breathing deep. Maybe sinking a bit deeper into your lunge. Noticing how it feels. Holding here for 3, 2, 1, and pivoting on the back foot, arms cartwheel out to the side, bending into the front knee even more, warrior 2. And bringing your right elbow to right knee, reaching the left arm up and over into your extended side angle. Holding here for 3, 2, 1, and then dropping the left hand down. Right hand comes to the other side of the foot and dropping the left knee down to the mat into your lunge, rising up. Using your core, hands on the hips, leaning forward to open the left quad. Breathing into the hips here. Inhaling to lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, we're going to straighten that right knee, coming back, folding forward into that half split, flexing that right foot. Noticing how this feels. One more deep inhale into the hips. And as you exhale, coming forward, bending into that right knee. Inhaling to come back, half splits. Exhaling to come forward. Inhale into half splits. And exhale into your lunge. From here, placing both hands on the right side, sorry, the left side of your right foot, and coming into whatever lizard variation works best for you. This may be hands flat on the mat like so. It may be best for you to come all the way down to your forearms, or perhaps you want to bend your back knee, reaching behind you with that right hand and opening through that left quad and opening through your shoulders as well as we do so. Breathing into hips as we do this. Opening. Noticing the sensations. Hip openers can be really intense, bringing up all sorts of emotions. So focusing back onto the sensations of right now. Wherever you are, coming back into our lizard variation with our hands flat on the mat, tucking the back toes under, lifting the left knee off the mat, reaching the right arm up and over towards the sky, finding that twist on this side, holding here for 3, 2, 1, and rising up all the way into our twisted lunge. Inhaling here, and as you exhale, straightening out, coming forward, reaching the arms to your hips, opening through the chest. You may even want to clasp the hands behind you to open even deeper. Finding that opening in that left quad. And as you exhale, dropping the hands to the inside of that right foot, stepping the right foot back to meet the left. Inhaling to sweep forward into your upward facing dog, and exhale into your child's pose. So you may want to do wide-legged child's pose with your knees as wide as the mat, or knees together. That'll give you more of a stretch in your low back. It's all up to you, all about the comfort level that you're trying to get right now. And while we are in our child's pose, I recommend that you focus on sending the breath down into the hips. Breathing deeply. Centering back into how you feel. From here, using your hands to push yourself back up into a seated position. We're going to walk the hands forward a bit. And from here, walk the left knee back slightly, so it's a little bit behind, and then bring the right knee forward in towards your right wrist and sit down into your pigeon posture. So sitting right down into pigeon, focusing here on so that your hips are quite even as much as possible, so that you're not focusing on just one side, getting an even opening on both. And you can take whichever variation you like here. If you want, you can come all the way down into your sleeping pigeon, which may give you more of a stretch of your right glute, or stay upright, or even bend your back knee and reach behind you to open that left quad even more. So whichever resonates with you the most right now, breathing into your belly wherever you are, feeling it expand as you inhale and relax as you exhale. Keeping a long neck as much as possible. Looking forward. And when you're ready, coming into your upright pigeon and pushing yourself back into a cow face pose, Gomukhasana, crossing the right leg on top of the left. So you're coming into our Gomukhasana. Lengthening, looking up towards the sky. And if you'd like, in this posture, you can fold forward or do a shoulder opener. So either coming down with both of your hands and folding forward like so, or placing your hands behind you, crossing opposite elbows, opening to the shoulders by pulling them back and together, and then folding forward. So whichever you feel is most comfortable for you, noting that we should be trying to keep our hips on our sit bones on the mat as much as possible. And again, if this is too much, we can always come into a cross-legged position. This one could be kind of intense. Breathing into our hips. And then pushing back up into that seated position and lifting up so that we're uncrossing the legs and doing windshield wipers to either side. Windshield wipering the legs. Noticing if you're getting yourself a bit of a stretch on either your glutes as you glide to either side. And then we'll tuck the toes underneath us, coming back forward into our tabletop, and with the opposite intention in mind, tuck our right knee back and space with it, and then bringing the left knee forward into our pigeon on the opposite side. Whichever variation of pigeon works for you. It can be upright pigeon like so, or perhaps you're coming down into all fours to focus on getting a glute stretch. Whichever variation is going to resonate with you today. Breathing into your hips as you do so. Noticing if anything arises into your mind as we do this posture. And if you feel any tension on your knees, feel free to come into a variation of pigeon, a different figure four. So that could be on your back or sitting seated in a figure four position. And then wherever you are, coming into upright pigeon, and we'll push back into our Gomukhasana on the opposite side, our left leg coming on top of the right, seated here. And again, taking whatever variation resonates on this side in terms of how you want to fold forward. You can stay upright like so, fold forward with both hands on either side of your legs, or fold the hands behind you to open through the chest, and then curl the spine down. So whichever variation resonates with you. Breathing into those hips. Inhaling deep into the belly. And exhaling out through the nose. And when you're ready, pushing yourself all the way back up, uncrossing your legs. And again, doing some windshield wipers to either side. Keeping the knees bent, we'll place the feet flat against the mat and slowly lower all the way down onto the ground. From here, I encourage you to take any final postures that resonate with you, perhaps a glute stretch if you feel that our pigeon didn't give enough for you, or perhaps a happy baby or legs up the wall. Anything that you feel is resonating with you to take right now at the end of our practice, perhaps a twist to open the low back. Just taking what feels good for you. When you're ready, extending yourself into your final resting pose, your Shavasana. This could be in corpse pose if your legs extended, or with your knees bent, or in a fetal position or child's pose of your choice. Taking a few last moments here to just completely relax into the mat. If you have more time in your day and you would like to remain on the mat, feel free to do so. But if you must return to the world, slowly starting to rock your head side to side, keeping the eyes closed. Then rolling over onto one side into a fetal position, perhaps using your arm as a pillow to support you. Taking a final resting breath here. And then pushing all the way back into your seated position. Taking a moment here, placing your hands maybe on your knees at heart center. As always, thank yourself for coming to the mat, for taking the time out for your body and your mind and your spirit, and allowing me to be your guide through the journey of body awareness. Hope you have an awesome weekend. Namaste.